Well. Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. It is a glorious Sunday over here from a very overcast Helsinki, Finland. Weather's had a bit of a reversal, and that is good for myself. No more sweatiness in the early morning hours, and today is a very big day, actually. As promised from yesterday, we will be making the case for, or the best case that I can make for a macro low in Bitcoin. Yes, this is clickbait. Yes, this is fun stuff on the good old YouTubes. At the end of the day, we're mostly traders here, and realistically, we don't really care if it goes up or down. Just need to trade it. But with that said, I'm gonna be doing my best job to be making the case for a macro low here. Of course, I can also make some pretty damn good cases for why it's still a bit prudent to be waiting. But overall, there are some very new happenings that have been going on in the past couple weeks here that do start to really shift the probabilities and shift the general feelings. Sorry, not general feelings. Feelings are irrelevant to this whole equation. But what I am trying to say is the general sort of setup that there is a lot of good things going on right here. So with that said, I want to wish you the best and the happiest. Let's waste no more time, and let's start off on the Krown application, which can be found at app.krown.net. By the way, it's 100% free. You can get all the most free quant data and statistics over there for the price of $0. Anyways, with that said, there's actually nothing really to be following up on this so much today. The only thing that I'd actually be focusing on right here is in the market data tab. We do see that actually a couple things, in fact, now that I do recognize it. Global funding rate is still below even what I consider parity at 0.01%. We are still essentially, not really paying all that much to hold your long positions if you are indeed long. And more importantly, we do see that open interest actually making a new high above what we did see on the 25th actually of July, just a few weeks ago there. But more importantly, that does support that this price action is supported with new positions, which is good. It does suggest that this rally is real. And while I do expect that there will probably be pullbacks, and what I also should probably say before we get into the fun stuff is that just because I do think that, or just because I will be making the case that the low is, very likely in, overall, I still do believe that there will be opportunities, and I'm not necessarily saying that Bitcoin's going to green dildo its way to the heavens just from this exact moment. Anyways, other than that, what else do we see? We do see a couple of other things of interest right here. We do see that the leverage ratio and the Bitcoin exchange's reserves are on a downtrend, which is what we do typically see on Bitcoin macro uptrends. And as you can see very, very easily over here, when we saw this actually shoot up right there and enter into a bit of an uptrend, that is when Bitcoin did put in the highs at about 60 to 65,000 bucks. Anyways, other than that, I think it's time to get into the price action charts, because we need to start off with the most important thing, the one thing to rule them all, and that is, if you've been paying attention to this channel, the hash ribbons indicator. Now, the hash ribbons indicator is incredibly powerful, and most important for this one is that it is a fundamentally based indicator, obviously measuring, basically putting two moving averages onto the hash rate. And we have actually populated a blue buy signal because I've manipulated the settings right here. But let me explain, and we'll go back into the history of time, and then of course you make the decision for yourself whether this is relevant or not, and I'll kind of give my thoughts as well. Anyways, first and foremost, what settings am I using? I am not using default right now. I'm using a 28 and a 55. Default is 30 and 60 actually, just for relevance. And oh, nice. Okay, we are recording. The microphone's working, and my new, not my new, but my old light's actually on as well. So massive thank you for StarCatify for trying to help me out with figuring out my whole camera setup. Massive appreciation with that, and I hope to hear something better about this current video. Anyways, okay, so we technically do have a blue buy signal right here, and what does that mean? Well, let's go within the context, or sorry, let's look at the historical context of this signal with these settings. And over here in this pane is going to be the default settings represented in histogram format. So this is default. This over here is the settings that I'm using right now. I also want to give a big shout out to Mr. Patrick C in the Discord for giving me these settings and telling me to give some eyes on this. This is why I absolutely fucking love this community, because we all come together, and well, now we have something potentially very interesting to be looking at. Okay, so as you can see over here, I've actually marked off all of the blue buy signals on the default one with the blue vertical line. And as you can see, they're pretty damn similar actually. This one may be like a couple days off, but realistically about the same. Anyways, what we have seen in the past once the signal is actually printed is that the low before that, the daily higher low before that, was the macro low before never getting tested again. All of these iterations have worked out except for one of them, in fact. Anyways, this one over here, as you can see, get the blue buy signal right here. Where's the last daily low? That would be right around, or right below 17,000 bucks right here. Bitcoin obviously comes back down and tests around it again. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge might be something that you want to pay attention to. But We do not go below that ever, ever, ever again. I mean, technically speaking, it hasn't even been a year since then, but so far so good. Anyways, we can see a similar signature over here. This one actually looks like it's exactly on the day for both of these guys. Indeed it is. And what do you know? The prior daily low before that, which is a little bit more of a complex low right here. I'd say it's about $9,000. Although Bitcoin does come back down and test around that region, it is not a lower low, as you can see. And thus far, Bitcoin has not gone back down below $9,000 since that signal was given. Here we have another one right here. This one actually about the same. Yeah, it is exactly the same to the day. You can see that the blue buy signal was confirmed on the 24th of April. Where was our prior daily low before that? That would be right here at about 67.50. And while Bitcoin did kind of test around that region again, there was no lower lows ever printed ever again since that time in April 2020. Now we get to the one iteration where this is not true actually. So this is not infallible. We do obviously have black swan events, and well, you can see the results right here. We get the blue buy signal. Okay, well that means that this low right here at about 65.50 is, would be presumably your major macro low. However, Bitcoin, while it does get a pretty damn good move right here, I mean, from bottom to top, that is about a 60% move, not bad. Eventually Bitcoin does dump out all the way from about $10,500 to, $4,000. So we'll just ignore that one. But, does need to be said, we do want to be as accurate as possible. And that would be one iteration where obviously after the signal was printed, Bitcoin did come back down below and significantly back down below it. So it's not infallible, as is anything. Here's an example, or sorry, actually, no, this is not an example of what I thought it was going to be, but this is once again an example where they are very, very close to each other, not necessarily on the same day, but close enough. In fact, obviously the more aggressive settings are going to get it first. And where's our last daily low before that? That's actually, the 3100 level right here, basically the macro low for Bitcoin. Other than that, it did take a very long time, and obviously Bitcoin never went below there like ever again. Anyways, after that, what do we see over here? We actually do have one iteration where there is a signal present on the more aggressive settings that is not present on, of course, the default settings. And it actually did work, relatively well. Anyways, where's your last daily low before this one? That would be right around here. Bitcoin does come back down and test around that region, yes, but no lower low was ever printed after that region ever again. And that was where, like about 2650. Yes, so it does hold true once again. This one about the same, to the day. This one coming in from September 2016, and our last daily low that was before the signal was obviously right here at about 560, 550-ish region. Bitcoin has never gone below there ever since. And can we find some more examples over here? Here's another example where actually Bitcoin on the more aggressive settings got a blue buy signal. It was not present on the default, and it was, this one actually worked out incredibly well as well. Whereas our last daily low before that, 220 on a closing basis. And by the way, this is only done on a closing basis, and Bitcoin's obviously never gone lower than that ever since. Anyways, this one over here, same thing. And I kind of look at these as like a slew of the same signal. Now, if you want to split them up into 3 different ones, fair enough, but they all pretty much work the same anyways. We don't need to go over all of them in detail. You can see very, very clearly that the prior daily lows before that obviously was never gone lower than that. We did see a bit of a wick lower over here, yes. So it wasn't, it wasn't infallible in this case, but on a closing basis, still good enough, and realistically did hold it. Anyway, so right on over here, what do we have? We have yet again another beautiful one, confirming the low at about just below 195. It looks like on a daily closing basis, and never tested there, or actually never closed below there ever again. Do you have a few more? Yes, indeed we do. We got to go all the way back into 2013 now. This one about the same. You can see the prior daily low before that right here at about $16.16. Obviously, never tested ever again after Bitcoin clears it. Same thing over here, and in fact the more aggressive settings have a slew of them. They all work about the same. This spanning from about April 2012 to June 2012, and then same thing over here for this one, and I believe this is the last one that we have, or technically the first one that we've ever had, and same thing over here. Of course, Bitcoin has never gone below $3.50 ever since that signal was printed, so very fucking good. And what do you know? Right now we do have on the more aggressive settings a blue buy signal. It is not present. I should repeat, on the regular settings. However, you can see that there's been humongous contractions in the last couple days here. It is about 1.21% away from the zero read. Now, that doesn't imply that it's immediately going to print a blue buy signal once it passes, but it opens up the possibility for it. And the man himself, the creator of this indicator, Charles Caprioli, hopefully I'm saying his name properly, massive respect to him and massive appreciation for him. He's gone on Twitter, I believe, and said something along the lines of that a blue buy signal will be possible cycle sometime in this coming week, at the end of the week perhaps. Anyways, that's the biggest one for me. That's probably the most compelling thing amongst other things as well, but I'm going to go down the list here and march off everything else that I'm looking at. So what do I need to find now? I need to find my more long-term charts. Let's find it over here. Okay, beautiful. Let's take off the volume profile for now. We don't need it exactly yet. And do we have it already overlaid? I believe we do. Oh, yes, we do. Lovely. Okay, so what I've done here is I've essentially plotted a Fibonacci extension from all of the macro cycles in Bitcoin's history. And there's something very interesting that we do see that's been pretty damn consistent actually throughout all of the cycles. And we can start it off like this. We can start it off going back to our last cycle, 2014 to 2015. All I've done here is just essentially plotted an extension, which we have the high and the low in. And you can see that once Bitcoin breaks its prior time high over here, this being the prior time high, and then obviously closing above it over here, Bitcoin loves to go on a tear and then rest and put in its nice little consolidation. In this case, this one was rather fast, all things considered, right at the 1.272, and more in depth, it's between the 1414 and the 1272. That is your consolidation phase. Once it breaks back above the 1414, well, the rest is history. In fact, you can see from that to next high, that's 630% move. So, something that you might want to pay attention to. Anyway, so we can go towards this example over here. Let me actually make sure that this one's properly done because it's a little bit shallow. There we go. Let me actually elongate it out as well so that you can easily see. Okay. Hey, that's not what I wanted. Well, whatever. Close enough, man. All right. So I'm looking at this signal. I'm looking at this cycle right here in 2013 to a little bit later in 2013. And this was your double bubble, by the way. And when I plot an extension from this cycle, where does Bitcoin base off of in the next cycle after breaking the prior all-time high right here? Well, that would be once again between the 1.272 and the 1.414. Interesting now, isn't it? Anyways, going back a little bit further than that, we have this cycle going on all the way from June 2011 to resolved, I suppose, in like 2012. And same thing. What do you know? Once Bitcoin breaks the prior all-time high on a weekly closing basis, it goes on for a tear and then bases off on the next sort of consolidation phase at the 1.272 and between there, the 1.414. And then same thing for this Genesis one over here. A little bit more sloppy, but does still hold true as well. Took it from this area to this area. And where does Bitcoin base off of in November 2011? Well, right at the 1.272 once again actually consolidates beautifully there between that and the 1.414. And guess where we are at right now? Well, Bitcoin is once again resting on the 1.27, or sorry, I should reiterate, Bitcoin obviously has broken the prior all-time high on a weekly closing basis. Where are we basing off of right now? We are basing off of the 1.272. We had a nice consolidation between there and the 1.414. And as of this week, we're going to have a pretty damn good possibility, in fact, extremely likely to break above the, close above the 1.414. Which throughout the history of Bitcoin, after we've done that, have we ever come back down to it? Yeah, we have actually over here. So it's not a get out of jail free card. This one I'll obviously retest as well, but it does kind of set in the long-term buys for it. That is going to be a major buy. Again, something else that I've kind of been considering over the past couple months here. All right, what else do we want to look at? Okay, here we go. Let's bring another fundamentally based one. This is going to be the stock to flow indicator over here, nice and rainbow colored to make it easy on the eyes and generally easy to interpret. And this is, if you're not familiar with this indicator, it's essentially plotting how far away the current price action is time-wise from the halving dates. Maybe some other things as well, but overall pretty damn simple. But what do we see? We see that anytime that Bitcoin has entered into the green phase over here, which by the way we entered into in early June, actually late May, early June, well, you can just see the results for yourself. Once again, I don't want to put my opinion on this one too much. I want you to decide for yourself. But what happens over here? Bitcoin turns green. We see that it's starting to resolve the consolidation and then goes on for a massive tear from green signal given and last low to next high, about 700, or let's actually do closure to closure. We have about 525% gain right there. Not bad. Then we have this one over here, right? Bitcoin breaks prior all-time high. We enter green. It goes into a nice sideways consolidation. And from that signal to next high, we have about a 450% move to the upside. Interesting. And what do you know? Once again, Bitcoin turning green over here goes into a consolidation. And I'm just curious what would happen if we played around with numbers here. And I forgot to do this on the Fibonacci extension one as well. But what if we just added 400% to the price action? Well, that puts Bitcoin at about $150,000. If we added 500 on the upper end, or 550, that puts Bitcoin around $200,000. Interesting. Anyways, I actually do want to go back to that just really briefly here and see if there's any rhyme or reason with the prior one. So looking at the 1.414 to next high, or actually let's take the 1.272 to next high. Let's just see how far away that was. This one about 850%. Let's see this one. Okay, this is actually, yeah, this is actually just going to be annoying to do, but oh well, whatever. All right, this I don't think that's going to work out to anything interesting, to be honest with you. Anyways, there's actually going to be better ways to do this soon enough. Okay, cool. So let's get through that, and let's move on to the next one. So what I'm going to look at now is the Bitcoin log curve zone, and what this is doing is just making, well, it's making some log curves, and we do see that there is a very there is a very consistent interpretation with this. Basically, when Bitcoin bases off in the green zone, that's kind of like your long-term accumulation. Yellow zone is kind of like your mid-cycle consolidation, and red zone is essentially your parabolic blow-off top highs. Anyways, as you can see over here, Bitcoin bases off in the green zone, rallies up into the yellow zone, spends this one barely consolidates there because it's so young, puts into the spike high to the red zone right here, and then comes all the way down. So my point is that once Bitcoin kind of gets to the yellow zone to next high, we're talking about big moves right there. Same thing over here. Bitcoin bases off in the green zone once again, then of course consolidates in the yellow zone mid-cycle and to next high. Actually, I think both of these are 1800%, funnily enough. That's 1850. This is 1850. Interesting. Maybe that's actually by design. And now I look like a fucking moron. Anyways, more importantly, Bitcoin once again puts in the parabolic blow off top right in the red zone, and then comes down, accumulates in the green zone once again, spends a little bit more time consolidating in the yellow zone this time, and from yellow zone to next high. What are we looking at? Okay, this one's, yeah, significantly less. Okay, good. All right. Don't feel as stupid as before them. 630%. Pretty damn big number right there. Anyways, once again, blows off its top, blows its whole load at the red zone, comes down, accumulates in the green zone, and as you can see, we've been consolidating in the yellow zone for months now, and that means, or that implies that longer consolidation is typically going to lead to a greater resolution. If you're familiar with Wyckoff terms, that is cause and effect essentially, and this is building into a very big cause right here. The longer that you do consolidate. Anyways, as Bitcoin does once again regain the yellow zone, could we perhaps look at the top side of this? That would be at around about $120,000. Now, keep in mind that this is going to naturally evolve as each and every week passes on. So that does mean that next week, this very likely will be higher, and perhaps it even does reach up towards that $150,000 level, maybe even $200,000 level, over time. It's obviously not going to be happening today or tomorrow or anytime soon. Hey, stop that over there. But God damn it, Bannerlord, fuck off. Jesus Christ. All right, we can talk about my my testnet account right there soon enough too. Hey, what the hell? What's going on right there? Anyways, let's see what we got going on right now. Okay, cool. I just saw that my marks are absolutely terrible there. Jesus Christ. Have to go check in on that. Okay. It's probably volatility exploding on some of those short call options. Anyways, should we check that out right now? Now, let's get through this first. Okay, cool. All right, so we got that. I'm just kind of going off of my notes right here. Okay, let's do another thing. All right, so anytime that Bitcoin has broken above its prior weekly all-time high on a weekly closing basis, we've seen a pretty consistent, measurement with this actually. So we're going to go back again to 2010 over here and just kind of get an idea of, would it be even relevant to look at Bitcoin topping out at its current $65,000 number? Just based off the history of this asset. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at all the new weekly closing all-time highs, and then after consolidation, then see what the next resolution is. Anyways, this one closed above the prior weekly all-time high. From that area to the next high, we have a 450% move on a wick-to-wick basis. On a closing base, about 250%, and then Bitcoin goes through a little bit of a consolidation. And what happens after that? Well, we close on new all-time highs right here, and then go on for about a 225% tear, as you can see. Then Bitcoin goes into a little bit of sideways consolidation once again, and then breaks to the upside here on a new weekly closing high, 1,500%. Not bad. Same thing over here, sideways for about half a year, closes on new all-time highs right here, and then up to your next one at about 1,100% on a wick-to-wick basis. And then same thing over here, goes for a bit of a reversal, closes on new all-time highs right here, from that area to next major high, 650%. And then we get the same thing from 2014 to 2015. We close above, or Bitcoin closed above its prior all-time highs right here. And then from that next low to next major high, we do have an 1,800, almost 99% move right there. And then same thing over, and then we get broadened up to our next segment right here, right? Bitcoin goes for a new weekly closing all-time high, or right here. From that area to next macro high, we've done about 250%. So that would be somewhat in line with what we have seen on the most lower end of those at the very beginning of this asset, which is a little bit more questionable, to be honest with you. And on the upper end, this would obviously be a bit of an outlier, as we have seen, up to almost like 2,000% moves to the upside from, prior weekly high to next major macro weekly high. In this case right here, what do we see? We do see, if we were to just play around with numbers, well, if we were to even add like 500%, which would still be kind of on the lower side, but reasonable, that would put Bitcoin at about $120,000 from prior weekly all-time closing high to, to that presumed number. If we were to play around with like 1,000, that would put Bitcoin at about almost $250,000, $225,000. So not bad, not bad at all. Just kind of wanted to show that because it would be, if Bitcoin has put in a macro high right here, it would be a little bit, more on the outlier side is kind of the argument that I'm making. Anyways, okay, cool. All right, we got that. Okay, yes, let's get on to this one now. All right, here's my momentum charts. What I've done here is I've actually just put on a super guppy. I put in my own settings on this one. It's not too much different. If you're just using default, it's really not gonna make a whole hell of a difference here. But I do want to focus on the fact that the weekly super guppy is once again above all major moving averages, and that has essentially marked off the majority of your bull markets ever since 2012. Obviously, we didn't really have enough history over here to really populate them well. But over here, ever since, that has actually been relatively consistent on all of Bitcoin's major macro moves, as you can see. We do see, even when it turns gray, that's kind of like your party's over for a while. And of course, when it's red, that's actually kind of entering into like the last phases of your bear market. Although I imagine over time, this will, naturally mature, and it'll probably be vice versa, meaning that the red zones will actually be your bear market. But for now, I do want to focus on the fact that Bitcoin actually is once again above all major moving averages, and that would be more or less, I suppose, good. On top of that, if we go over here to the weekly Stokes, we do see we have hit a trend line that we've had going all the way back to September 2014, actually. Now, not all of these are macro lows, but it is a damn good bouncing area as well. And then more importantly, we do see that Bitcoin's coming in from a very, very low level here. And, these have at the very least been very respectable bounces over the history of Bitcoin. Okay, let's see. We have another one right here that I want to get into. This is going to be the advanced decline ratios. I'm on a monthly specifically right here. And basically, to explain this indicator, it's just kind of measuring the advanced decline in a ratio format. It's nothing too sexy, but I actually do really like this indicator. And it's something that I use a lot in traditional markets, actually, just kind of, judge when markets are a bit, more extended than not. As you can see over here, these are definitely a lot of your highs, and these are definitely a lot of your lows, actually. Anyways, what I'm going to be focusing on right now is actually just the one read, which means that it's essentially flat. And anytime that we have gone above it, that has been the start of your macro bull market. Or I can just show you the data here, and you make the decision for yourself. This one over here, boom. Massive move to the upside. This one over here marks the end of your bear market, and massive move to the upside. This one over here, this was sort of the interim rally between 2018 to 2021. Pretty damn good move right there, but this was not a macro rally, to be fair. Although it was a phenomenally impressive rally from low to high, we did have about almost a 300% gainer right there, just for what it's worth. Anyways, once again, we see that it's gotten above the one read right here, and so far so good. What's also interesting about this is that Bitcoin is once again trading above the monthly cyan 9 exponential moving average, which has been pretty damn consistent over the history of time of, essentially kind of judging whether this is bull or bear. Over here, it likes to kind of rally off of it in its bull markets, likes to sell off in it on its bear market. Same thing over here, keeps you along the whole way through, tells you about the bear trap over here, the bull trap over here, keeps you along the whole way through there, and then down the whole way, and then up the whole way right there. So beautiful. On top of that, if we bring this over to the weekly, what I can also show you is the PMAR. Now, Caretaker made this indicator, it seemed like at light speed, which is hilarious. It's actually a relatively simple indicator that I had a bit of a hand in creating myself, just because I've always wanted something like this. It's pretty damn simple. Let me explain it. PMAR is essentially measuring the percentage that current price action is away from a user specified moving average. So what I've done here is I'm just running a 20 EMA. Actually, no, I want to be looking at a 20 SMA for this. There we go. Okay, so it's looking at the weekly 20 simple. And basically, as you can see, anytime that we have printed green over here, those have been, at the very least, very nice rallies. In a lot of cases, bull traps. But we're gonna ignore that for today. Today is only bull. Okay, we'll talk about bearish sit maybe a little bit later. Sorry, can't help myself. But all macro lows have come in at a green read on this, and guess what? Bitcoin did hit that way the fuck back on over here. Green read, by the way, is below the 0.7 read right there. Now, I could also make a counterpoint on this. The first green read after being away from it for a long time on the moving average, or just after having a macro rally right here, which is what you see right here, which is what you see right here, which is what you see right here. those have all been bull traps. So, take that as you will. I still think that there is risk within this market. We're talking about this area right here. We're talking about this area right here. And we are talking about, perhaps this area right here as well. So I do want to offer up both sides of that one. But like I said, at some point, we'll probably do like a full on bear video. I've kind of done a few of those already, but, to put it bluntly, I mean, until Bitcoin comes back down below about 31,000 bucks, there's not really like any sort of major massive macro move to be looking for to the downside. Should also be known that weekly MACD is looking like, or it's not looking like, it is quite literally loosening up on the momentum to the downside. Now it's not going to be crossing the upside this week or next week, maybe later this month or early September. But anytime that we have gotten bi-weekly MACD across the upside, I mean, that has been generally good. The last one essentially telling you to long at about April 2020, that was a pretty damn good price, just by the way, at about 8,000 bucks before going to 65,000 bucks. A few one-offs over here, still pretty damn good moves, to be fair. And to the downside, pretty damn good as well. And, this one's a little bit less tested, but getting more or less the momentous moves, not necessarily like the macro moves all the way through. So, with this starting to loosen up with its histogram to the downside, I do look at this as somewhat of a good thing. I mean, it's better than being to the downside and increasing momentum to the downside, but does deserve a little bit of recognition right there. All right, what else do we want to be looking at? Okay, we looked at that. We looked at that. We looked at that. Okay, do we have anything over here? Yes, of course. Oh man, how could I forget? How could I forget the biggest meme, and actually the one meme to rule them all? This one actually rather like, and this one is pretty damn powerful. It's just people misinterpret this, unfortunately. And that would be the weekly 21 exponential average, which I'm represented as this yellow line right here. Anytime that Bitcoin's been above it and it's had a positive slope, two very important things. Okay, so, a lot of people talk about this, but it's, they don't include that part. It's very fucking important, and I absolutely hate it that people make memes out of things that, are pretty damn good, actually. Anyways, anytime that Bitcoin's been above it and it has a positive slope, good. That is your bull market, and it keeps you long the whole way through from 16 cents to 30 bucks, and tells you about the bull trap right here, and maybe even get short, take profit. And then it tells you just get long at about 550 all the way up to 1200, not bad. Then tells you about the bull trap over here, bad, get short or dump your positions. Then tells you to get long at about 300 bucks right here, all the way to 20,000 bucks a couple of years later. And then same thing to the downside over here, tells you about the bull trap in March 2018, and then same thing to the upside right here, gets this whole rally beautifully from 4,000 to 14, and then this one to the upside right here from about 8,500 to our current all-time high thus far. Anyways, Bitcoin has regained it as of last week, and this week we have a chance to do two things that are very important. First, open and close above it, which is your traditional way of kind of confirming above a major moving average. In this case, we have that right there. And then second, and more importantly, we will have a positive slope if it does close basically anywhere, I'd imagine anywhere above 43,500 or so. It's a long day left to go, but and keep in mind that CME did close below, actually right below 43,000 bucks, but it's looking pretty damn good for now. All right, do we want to talk about anything else? Yep, weekly RSI. What do we have right here? Weekly RSI is a rejection of the bearish control zone and back above the exponential. Very powerful. However, if you want to be really looking at the weekly RSI, you got to be looking at it in terms of zones right here. And just very briefly speaking, this horizontal right here at about 53 and some odd change is kind of what I have seen on the weekly, and perhaps you have seen on the weekly, as essentially holding up your bull markets on a weekly RSI sort of identification. So we typically find our lows and our spike lows around that region. You can see over here. I mean, again, you should probably just back test this one yourself, but essentially tells you when you're in a macro bullish market or not. Now, technically speaking, I do not think that this is confirmed just yet. I'd want to see the moving average actually get above that region first on the RSI. But hey, better, it's better than not right now. Okay, what else do we want to talk about as of the current moment in time? I mean, Daily Jewel is kind of looking for continuation. Should we talk about a little bit more short-term stuff right now? Should I talk about my testnet positions over here? Probably talk about my testnet positions. Oh, no, the account's fine. What the fuck? All right, it must be marked or something. I'm still holding this long right here. I'm going to start to let go of a little bit of that. Maybe I'll just cover with some options, actually. In fact, that's probably the better way of doing it in this case. Yeah, I'm going to do exactly that. Let's do this on stream here. So basically I'm long, like under 65,000 contracts. Price is 33,000 bucks on this account. Again, this is testnet account, it's not real money. So I'm going to go over here onto the options board, and let's actually pick tomorrow's expiration. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to do what's called a covered call here. So I'm long this spot underline, and then I'm going to sell something that's a little bit in the money, hopefully has a bit of premium, and well, it should have a little bit of premium, and it'll expire tomorrow. So I get to kind of collect on that, but I'm essentially selling that price today. So if I sell the $4,400 call strike for 2,300, is that, do I want that? Maybe I just sell a little bit of premium right here. I mean, we are at 45,000 bucks right now. I'm going to do that. I'm going to sell this, and it'd be essentially selling, assuming that Bitcoin is, actually, let's do this right, because I think I'm only like 4 Bitcoin long now on my spot, but we can do something like that. And it would be essentially selling the same thing as about $45,000 plus the premium, which is 900 bucks right there. And then tomorrow I get to keep my spot long. Now, if Bitcoin goes above that region, I essentially lose out on that potential profit. Although, this is a continuous position, so it's not like I'm taking profit anyways. But I kind of like this as a way to take profit on positions that you might want to be holding the spot underline, especially when it's done European style, which this is on Deribit specifically. So I imagine, yeah, the 31st of December strike is just absolutely foobar right now. But as far as this goes, my $36,000 long call strike looking really fucking good. Still though, this is terrible marks right there. Actually, it's actually not super bad. Could be worse, but this should naturally be a lot more. It should start to explode, especially as volatility turns up here, which it is on the daily. Anyways, still short. Yeah, I'm getting killed on these marks right here. These are essentially worthless. The $80,000, $100,000, and $200,000 call strikes are obviously fucking worthless. But I am going to free up some equity here just in case, because things are creeping up there, and perhaps I'll take a little bit of premature profit on some of those. And but the problem is that they're going to eat up my equity. So if I do run into issues, then that would actually suck. But realistically, they are worthless right now, and it'd be very, very easy to cover them if need be. In fact, I might just put on some more spot longs, and then also have the 20. I'm actually long a 20 lot of the $68,000 call strike right there too, expiring December. And apparently, those are the ones that I'm losing on. No, I am fine on those ones. Okay, fair enough. Where am I losing on these? Okay. Oh, this is fucked. Okay. Oh, this is totally wrong then. Oh my God, look at this. Okay, September expiration, 17, 20, and 24,000 strike on put side. I'm short all of those, and I'm actually running a negative P&L there. That is funny. Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, that is not real. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to buy these back nice and cheap. How many do I have there? 17. All right. Oh yeah, they're being offered at 14.15 right there, 6,400. Yeah, I think that's worthless as well, actually. So here we go. We're just gonna do 0.005. Boom. Did I do that right? Yes, I did. We'll do 15, I think it was. There we go. Yep. Okay. Cool. Actually, no, it wasn't 15. Let's do 10. Let's make sure that we get that right. All right, we're gonna do 10 right there, quantity, and let's see. Let's just put a little bit. There we go. 10 for you. All right. Very generous right now. Okay. Anyways, we'll get rid of that one. This one over here, worthless as well. Let's just buy 10 lot right there. Close that one off. Take profit there. There's no sense in holding worthless options till expiration when it's like still more than a month away. That is ridiculous. And then a 5 lot right here. We can take this down to like 1, and we'll just get rid of a 5 lot right there. Not bad. Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. So, okay, looking good over there. All right, and Bitcoin is above 45,000 bucks. So that brings in, oh my God, this video is already 32 minutes long. Jesus Christ. So that brings in the question. Let me just kind of peruse around here, make sure that I got everything. Yes, okay, we got that obviously. Okay, good. Can we actually bring up this one too? No, we don't want to bring up that one. It's boring. It's boring, man. It's boring. Okay, so the last thing that we'll do here is while I have spoken a lot about bullish things, of course, understand that this is not like, if we go back to the hash ribbons indicator over here, it is a terrible timer of a macro low. It just says that the prior low to the signal being printed was the macro low. So in this case, that would imply, if this is going to hold true, that what is the closing low right here? Let me just double check. 29,792 and 2 cents on the index chart is the macro low. Bitcoin will never go below there ever again on a daily closing basis. Take that as you will. That does not mean that Bitcoin can't come back somewhere around there, as we have seen plenty of times in the past. And if I had to put my my mind to it, I actually do think that that's probably, you know, somewhat likely. Oh, by the way, should also be known that weekly accumulation distribution indicators have a massively positive slope. That's that might be considered a good thing. Oh, and we're about to get above the 20 simple as well. All right, cool. So let's talk about a few other things before I let you go. I know this is getting a little bit long now, but this is important. Anyways, I suspect only the TA nerds are listening right now anyways. Okay, so what are we looking at right here? We're looking at CME chart, and what I've done here is I've plotted out where the gap is, and then also Fibonacci retracement, a bear trend retracement that says between, or I did not do this right, hold on. There we go, that's where it should be. And this is showing that the 618 Fibonacci retracement, which is typically kind of your bull trap areas, is right around about 47,500-ish region, and the gap I would insinuate is any between there and kind of where we're at right now at about 45,000 bucks. Keep in mind, CME did close the day on Friday at just below 43,000 bucks, 42,970 to be exact. So I do look at this area; it's kind of fraught with peril. It's very likely to be a bit of a spiky area, but overall, I wouldn't be surprised to see some Bitcoin do something like this, where no, wrong one. Here we go, where Bitcoin pops up into it when CME opens. Maybe spend some time kind of hitting its head there, and then comes back down. And what do you know? We have a gap on the other side, actually, down around that $33,000 to $34,000 level right here, also in line with the 236. Very interesting, right? Because if we are going to be looking at something like that, what does that imply? Well, it kind of implies the same thing that the hash rate indicator implies. A lot of the time you do retest around your lows, it just gives you the bias that that's very likely a long-term opportunity. Not always, and nothing's 100% guaranteed, of course, but you know, take that as you will once again. So we'd expect to see like a higher low over here, and then probably, you know, spend some time and, you know, then green dildo its way back up. And that would actually look really, really good for a macro higher low. At that point, Bitcoin would have confirmed a weekly higher low. Oops, let's just put it on right there. And well, there's your uptrend. So lovely. But right now, to be fair and to be 100% direct, Bitcoin technically is in a downtrend on the weekly, and the weekly trend has actually been your best friend pretty much since the dawn of time, actually, in this asset. We do have a high, we have a low, we have a high, we have a lower low right here. Anything below 58,000 bucks is a lower high in the weekly. Now, I would insinuate that because Bitcoin is above the green 55 exponential average right here, this is to be considered a consolidation first and foremost, and you run with a prior trend. To be fair, you kind of give it the edge in a consolidation mode. Again, other, you know, more aggressive traders are going to say, oh shit, this thing's about to put in a lower high anywhere around here. I'm happy to short anything above 45,000 bucks. Fair enough. You know that there is still very much risk with this. And like I said, I can make a pretty damn good fucking video for why the major highs are already in. But to that point, let's go back on over here. Let's throw on some of our major moving averages. We also do see, by the way, at the $45,000 level, we are brushing up against the white 200 simple. The 200 simple moving average is, you know, traditionally a nice area to kind of sell off from, especially if you're getting below it. But if Bitcoin starts to close above this region, that would look pretty damn good. But I would not be willing to call a macro low until we either get the default settings on the hash rate indicator firing off in conjunction with a more aggressive, which obviously already are, or Bitcoin closing a higher term time frame above our last major meltdown, which is basically 50,000 bucks. If it can do one of those two things, great, awesome, good. Yes, there's going to be ebbs and flows in this market. Yes, it's probably going to come down again at some point, but I'd be looking at that as a major opportunity. Until that happens, enjoy the fun. And actually, now that I'm over here, I forgot one last thing that we'll go over before I send you off. And maybe we talk about a little bit of short-term time frame stuff too. Or maybe I should save that for a shorts video. What do we have right here? We have a beautiful, this is called the silver cross, actually, the 21 and 55. And you can see that Bitcoin tests beautifully down into it, lifts off. That is picture fucking perfect. And as you can see, this one's pretty damn consistent for Bitcoin, telling you to long over here and telling you to get out over here. Telling you to long over here, telling you to get out over here. Damn good one as well. This one over here, beautiful. It does lead into all major macro rallies, but it is not like it's not like a guarantee for a long-term thing, obviously. This one over here to the downside, this one over here obviously to the upside, beautiful one, and this one over here takes you all the way through. And actually no, this one takes you all the way through, but overall pretty damn consistent cross, and does deserve some respect right here, especially as we do see volatility is once again turning back up, which I do like. And actually even daily Jewel starting to line up for another continuation signal, and the daily RSI maintaining the bullish control zone for the first time really realistically since March. You can see the first test was rejected, yes, but we did put in a higher low, consolidate around the bullish control zone. That is strength. That is really, really good. And maybe we do one last thing here. Maybe we do one last thing. Do we want to look at like a 2-day? Looks good. Do we want to look at a 3-day? Looks good. All of them getting into the bullish control zone once again. Weekly, same thing as well. Weekly is actually, 5 days actually very obvious. Rejection of the bearish control zone, back up. Beautiful, fucking beautiful. On expanding volatility, just love it, man. Fucking love it right there. So very, very good right now. And a bullish engulfing as well. You know, should probably talk about that. And by the way, this one's going to be closing alongside the weekly today. So if that does close, I mean, this thing looks very, very likely like it wants to have a little bit of an extension towards 46.5 to 47,000 bucks. And then I probably would be looking for short-term pullbacks. But again, make no mistake about it. Bitcoin is putting in higher lows as long as above 38,000 bucks now. So you can see that we've been slowly marching this level up throughout this whole week. And that is, you know, that's the way that I like to do things. It, you know, keeps you safe. It keeps you on the right side of the trade. And while it did test you a few times, that's completely fine. There were no breaks. And in this case, you know, Bitcoin's operating on higher lows as long as you're above there. And, you know, at some point, you know, very likely does come down, probably even comes down around CME open at about 43,000 bucks. But, you know, that's just another higher low. And I would be saying that, you know, Bitcoin down to 41,000 bucks looks, I mean, that'd actually be a beautiful higher low as well. So short term, very likely continuation from this region. I'm curious what short term time frame momentum oscillators look like. Yeah, they're pretty damn cooked over here. 4 hours still technically up, but volatility is on the ceiling right now. So kind of hard to expand from that level. I suspect that that's like around 100 percentile, if not 100 percentile. 3 hour, same thing. You know, it's very high, but still technically up there. Bi-hourly, same thing. And by the way, this coming in at 44.2. Hourly is 44.5. Okay, this very likely does have one more drive to the upside. And 3 hours says 44.5. 4 hours says 45.1. So very likely a little bit of a drive more towards that 46.5 level. And then I would be looking for a bit of a pullback from there, short-term timeframes, but all of the focus on this specific video is for the higher-term timeframes. So take that as you will. And I think this will be a good place for me to leave off. I might upload a shorts video later just to talk about short-term timeframes because it's relatively simple right now, but that's what I wanted to get out on this Sunday. This is one of those videos that I feel quite strongly about. So if you do feel compelled to share this, I would actually very much appreciate it, or even like this video as well. That would be awesome. But again, at the end of the day, you're a free person. Do whatever the fuck you want to do. I'm not here to be your goddamn dad, and hopefully this was in some way valuable to you. I want to salute you. Take care. It's been an absolute pleasure, and until next time.